The Cleveland Browns currently are at a standoff with the city of Cleveland. The issue at hand, Huntington Bank Field. With its lease running out in a few years' time, Browns ownership wants to move the team to a new $2.4 billion stadium in Brook Park, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland, while the city, fearing economic loss, wants them to stay. This has become a complicated legal matter. Will the Browns move to Brook Park? Will they stay where they are right now? Or will they move to another site in Cleveland entirely? In this video, we will take a tour of areas being discussed, and I will give you an explanation of what is going on and what will probably happen. This is the Cleveland Browns Stadium situation explained.
Hello everybody, Forgotten Places here with another video. So if you haven't already heard by now, the Browns owners want to leave Huntington Bank Field, which stands right behind me. They want to go and build a multi-billion-dollar stadium about 9 miles away from here in Brook Park. We'll go there in the coming clips, but as somebody from here and is a Browns fan, I figured I could probably give you a good description of what's going on here between the Browns and the city and tell you what's probably going to happen and give you a little bit of background as to why we are here right now. All right, so basically Art Modell, the former Browns owner, moved the Browns to Baltimore 30 years ago from the original municipal stadium, which was on this site. However, when he moved the team, there were still multiple years left on the lease. So the Browns fans and the city were going to go to court over this. And instead of dealing with a costly lawsuit that was clearly in the city's favor, since that's the whole point of a stadium lease, is that you can't just break it before it ends, they decided to give Cleveland a expansion team in the Browns. And we've had this expansion team for 25 years now, going on 26. And, you know, aside from them being really terrible, this stadium was built at a generic time in stadium construction. The stadium itself is generic, and there even is a dedication to the city's victory over the NFL in getting a team back here. You can see it right here. And after this was done, I believe shortly after the Browns move, what was called the Art Modell Law was created to try to keep sports teams from ever leaving Ohio again. And now the city is going to try to enforce that, and it's in court right now. And you know, it's just been a lot of back and forth going on with this. Now, while that law may not specifically say so, it really was meant to keep moves like the Browns moving to Baltimore from happening again. Not moving to a suburb, which really isn't that far. I mean, we're not talking about 50 miles or whatever. This is still going to be in Cuyahoga County.
Now, one thing that should be noted when considering renovating or replacing a stadium is what is the competition doing? The Browns want a $2.4 billion stadium, which is a lot. And they're also asking for what ties a record for the amount of public funding for a stadium in the US. But if you look at the Browns' current stadium compared to similar markets and division rivals, the stadium they have measures up pretty well and actually exceeds the standard. The Browns Stadium opened in 1999 and was renovated in 2014 and 2015. And it wasn't just a small cosmetic renovation, it was a fairly significant overhaul, particularly on the two end zone sides. Now take a look at similar markets and division rivals. Baltimore's M&T Bank Stadium, which opened a year before the Browns Stadium, is just starting to get its first major renovation project. Paycor Stadium, which opened in 2000, only a year after the Browns Stadium, has never had a major renovation and just got a few cosmetic renovations this year, while Pittsburgh's Acrisure Stadium, which opened in 2001, has also not seen a major renovation, aside from a capacity expansion about 10 years ago. So as far as similar markets are concerned, the Browns Stadium is fairly in line.
Now, I will tell you one thing that the Browns and Jimmy Haslam are trying to do is they're trying to make this stadium look as ugly and out of shape as possible. They refused to put a name plate on the stadium ever since First Energy was dropped a while back. Even now, with a new naming sponsor, they still will not put a name. It wasn't on there all season long. And if you look up here, there's little chips of paint. Simple fix, maintenance. But My opinion is they want it to look like that. They want this stadium to look as ugly as possible to try to get leverage. Now, the city has come up with a counter proposal to build a new stadium that can still be relatively close to downtown here, and that involves getting rid of the existing stadium right here and moving it, or building a new one right over here. That over there is Burke Lakefront Airport. It's a pretty useless airport. It's a waste of a lot of lakefront there, but their proposal is to build a new stadium right there where there is a lot of land, but the Browns are not interested in that right now. All right, folks, so I'm going to take you to where the Haslams want to build their stadium in Brook Park. So we'll go about 9 miles away from here to the suburban area site of the potential new Browns stadium. All right, so here it is, folks. This is the site that the Browns have bought, or the Haslams, to build the new dome stadium in Brook Park. This is about an 11-12 minute drive from downtown on the freeway. And if you see here, the big part of this is the airport is right there. And another interesting thing is right where the airport is where Cleveland ends. So even though this is a suburb, this is very close legally to the city of Cleveland. And we'll get a little bit of a closer look here, but this is just it from a better vantage point. So here's a close-up. This was originally a Ford plant. There's still one down the road over there, but the one here was torn down, and right now they've been kind of moving some dirt around, but nothing is officially official. But at this point, given that there's renderings and all of that.
So ultimately, what is going to happen here? Well, I think it's going to be one of three outcomes. However, the most likely outcome is the Browns will move to Brook Park, and there'll be some sort of settlement as far as the Modell law/lawsuit goes. It's believed that the city wants to be made whole if the team is going to leave the limits of the city of Cleveland, and that'll probably involve the Haslams giving money for redevelopment of the site of the existing stadium. I don't think the Haslams are going to get $1.2 billion. That's just frankly too much. The state of Ohio, which the Haslams want $600 million from, did not shell out that much money for the Bengals or the Browns stadiums when they were built. So to think they're going to give $600 million is probably unlikely. However, a figure maybe like $400 million I think is possible. And the over $400 million, which was offered by the city of Cleveland for renovations to the existing stadium, would probably go towards the new stadium, though through the county instead of through the city. I think renovating the existing stadium is fairly unlikely at this point. The Haslams clearly don't want to do that. And building at Burke Lakefront is also probably pretty unlikely because that would still have the accessibility issues that the current stadium does as far as being sandwiched between a freeway and Lake Erie. So what I think ends up happening is that the Browns end up moving to Brook Park, but they don't get as much money as they were hoping for the new stadium. They'll probably help pay to redevelop the lakefront some. Or another compromise could simply be that the city of Cleveland annexes the Brook Park site, as it is right by the border of the city of Cleveland. There are no homes in that part of Brook Park, so there's not an issue with residents. The Browns could technically still be in the city of Cleveland, and Cleveland would probably still get to keep the tax revenues. So we'll see what happens. That's just my take. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.